to want to. Oh, there it is. I am live. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. Yay. So I'm going to wait for people to get in here because today is Thursday. You thought it, I said it, right? So I am here waiting, waiting because I know some people are like, is she getting on? So we will just see, we will see, we will wait, and we will see. Meanwhile, on the ranch, my brother is doing good. We had the stem cell transplant yesterday, which went really, really well. Um, Being a nurse, sometimes when you work in certain, I'll just say different, because being a nurse, you can work in different areas of nursing. Okay, so you got pediatrics, geriatrics, adolescents, general adult. You have different diseases that you can work in. You know, you might work in dialysis, you might work in a cancer center, you might work in internal medicine, you might work with specialties like ortho, eyes. So it's just a vast genre of things that you can do as a nurse. So participating in this with my brother on his journey to get better in his healing is actually been an eye opener for me in the different things that I knew that nurses do, but just seeing it from a different standpoint. So when you have cancer, you, depending on what cancer you have, you go through different treatments. And this particular treatment he went through, um, they had to take out his cells and put his cells back. So I've never seen that done before. I've heard of it, but never seen it. Good morning. You can hear me? Great. Can you see me? Can you see me? Is the question. Can you see me? Oh, yes, you can. You can see me. Great. Which is which was very different. But overall, he did pretty good. I kind of been monitoring him through the night, so I wasn't sleep, but not sleep, to monitor his, make sure he doesn't spike a fever. Um, yeah, there are so many facets to nursing, and so he is doing really, really well, and everything like that. So right now he's sleeping, and but he's doing good. I'll get him up right after I'm done with this for breakfast. But other than that, that was my day. Today is Thursday, and you know now he's on neutropenic precaution. So I got a lot of people out here in Arizona. I love y'all, but I got to try to figure out when I'm going to see people because I don't. He can't be around a lot of anything with the type of cancer he has. He has a whole new immune system. And so when I come around, you'll see me with a mask on. When I leave up out of this room, I always have a mask on because I don't want to bring him back germs either. But he can't be around a lot, and he wants to. So tells him, "Sis, come on, we go out." And I'm like, "No, you can't." So that's what's different too. Being very cautious. He has what we call a whole new immune system, and so therefore he actually has to go through a process of getting all new immunizations. You know, my brother's in his 50s, so he got to go through all that. I still have a shield if you need brand new. Okay, thank you. Um, so he has to go through all of that. It's crazy. It's like, what? Yeah, so it's like almost like a, I call it a newborn baby because you know when the baby comes into the world, they have um, the cells from the mother, so they're immune to whatever they have there. But then they still have to get everything going, right? And so that's sort of like what's going on. They took everything out and put everything back in. And it's all new. So that's what's going on, um, and it's different, very, very different. So I'm just going to be playing it safe. No, he basically has a complete washout going on. Yep, that's what he has. And let me tell you guys something. This was a very long process. First of all, I thought we're going to go in, get this appointment over with. Mm-mm. Baby, we went up in there about 10 o'clock. When I tell you, I literally did not get back here. And they do it outpatient. So if he spikes a fever, he goes inpatient. But for most part, it's outpatient. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I went in there at 10 o'clock. I literally, now we're in Arizona, so there, depending on where you are, you're an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Literally, literally did not get out of there until close to 6, I think it was. It was 6 because I had to end up going, running to the store and pick up medicine, and the pharmacy closed at 7. So it was 6 something because I was rushing a whole day, a whole day. But he's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good. But welcome to Coffee and Conversation with Carol, where I try to come to you every day at 8:30 and have thought-provoking questions, engagement, inspiration, and hope. Okay. Hashtag wake up with Carol. Hashtag today is Thursday. You thought it, I said it. Now, here's the thing. I didn't get anything with anybody. You thought I said it. At least I didn't see anything. I had some stuff from before, but one of the things I want to kind of make a topic of it. But today is Thursday. You thought it, I said it. And here's something I was thinking about. I was looking at just reading, actually. I've been reading this book, and I don't even know where the book is at. I don't know if it's over here. But it's by Sarah Jake Roberts. And the book, not her Power Moves book, I haven't really dove into that one yet, which I know it's pretty good. But this one is called All Hope is Found. All Hope is Found. And so in reading that book, some of the chapters, I'm actually up to chapter 4. And one of the things that it got me thinking about was the other day, I believe it was you, Pooh, who said complacency brought you to completion, something along that line. Or you were eating complacency, and so complacency has now turned to completion, and so you're going to be moving in that area. And we were talking about what are you eating, and so in reading this book, it had me thinking, and it was talking about being. It had something about complacency in there, and I can't quote it because I can't find the book because I highlighted it, but it had me thinking about reactive versus proactive. And I said to myself, am I reactive or am I proactive? Am I reactive or am I proactive? And so, in thinking and researching that, I think that in my in the past, I have been reactive. And when you are reactive, so reactive versus proactive can be used in people management, um, all kinds of stuff it can be used in. However, how are you using it, and what are you doing with it? So I'm going to speak in the space of when you are making decisions, dealing in a situation or circumstance, in choosing, making choices, right? Decisions, choices, whatever title you want to put there. So, are you being proactive? Which means proactive, normally you're prioritizing, right? When you're proactive, you're normally sitting back thinking, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z. That's normally what you're doing when you're proactive, right? When you're proactive, you've sat down, you've counted up the cost, you've looked at everything, you're going to make this decision, and this is what it's going to be. However, when you're reactive, when you're reactive, uh, it kind of centers around you just address issues as they arise. And normally, when you address them as they arise, you hurry up and do it. You not really thinking we're gonna come back to this and visit it. You really just making a decision, right? Right. So for me, I feel as if I used to be in a reactive mode. As things came up, I made a decision. I didn't think about it. I just did it. And then guess what happened? I had to deal with the consequences of that. But being more mature, and here's the thing for me, allowing God to work in my life. Because here's the thing, some people say, I'm here, I'm there, and By all means, to each its own. I am not here. The Bible say, judge not, lest ye be judged. So who am I? But I will say that as I allow him to work in me and my maturity grows, as I grow more in, I'm growing. Trust me, I'm growing. I am more proactive, meaning I think more about the decisions that I'm going to make. I think more about doing and saying, being more appropriate, uh, uh, thinking how someone else will feel, trying not to insert myself into situations that I shouldn't insert myself into, and just actually standing back and not always having to take the lead or be in the lead, but learning how to follow with integrity and grace and knowing what to do. So for me, I would say that yes, I think at times in my life I've been reactive, but moving forward and where I am now, I think I'm more proactive. My complacency with my current position was completely a watch for reactive. You know, this little thing here be like, what in the world? So Sister Pooh said, my complacency with my current position was completely a watch for reactive. I put in conversations and applications all over. I had to realize that I needed to be proactive and wait till my surgery was done so that I would not transfer over to another job and pick the job I want. Yeah, that's true. And I'm going to tell you something else. I'm going to tell you something else. Sometimes complacency, sometimes complacency can mask itself. And I think that sometimes complacency can, we feel like we're complacent, but it really is God telling us to wait, you know? So I think, you know, when we think that we're somewhere where we need to be, even though we're probably in that complacent space, we just need to kind of wait and wait for him to say go. And then when he says go, then we're able to move in that direction. I think that people who are reactive allows the circumstance to dictate their actions. See, when you're in a certain circumstance or a certain situation and you're reactive, you allow it to dictate to you. Um, you allow it to dictate your actions or what you're going to do. So people who are reactive actually are responding to their situation instead of having self-control. That's what word I'm looking for. Having self-control and just taking a moment to think before they react. So you have that reactive response and then you have that proactive response. Here, I heard one person say this: proactive and reactive actually are the same skill. You're just using the proactive skill first. But who knows that? Because if you're reacting all the time, you're not knowing to be proactive before you're reactive. And then after you do that, then guess what happens? You have the consequences. Yes, 1000%. Yes, you agree. Mm-hmm. Yep. Certainly, certainly, certainly. I really do. I really do believe that. I really do. So when you have that going on, and when you know that, you know, you can use it to your advantage. And I think that goes into what I received in the. It was talking about growth, and when you think about growth, and when you think about wisdom, we had this in a lesson. Um, Wisdom is not someone who pretty much just knows everything. Wisdom is more of your experience, right? So if you've experienced some things, you're able to share with other people. And I think that goes with proactive too, because now you can sit back and think and be like, oh, I was in this situation before. Maybe you want to do this or that. Not telling somebody what to do, but gently just suggesting, here's some thoughts that you might want to probably think about before you make that decision. Before you tap them on the shoulder a little bit before you make that decision. Here's something you might want to think about before you do that. And I think that's what wisdom is. Some people think, oh, they're just so wise and they're so smart. I don't think it has to do anything with being smart. Not saying that they're not smart. I think it has to do more with just experience. And if you know what you've experienced and you know what you know, then you gently want to give that to somebody. You want to give that to somebody. A lot of times, if you constantly react off emotion, um, then emotional responses is what you'll get, and emotional consequences is what you get. You know, and those can go either way. I don't know what nobody else thinks, but for me, I think those can go either way, because sometimes when you're reactive and you're responding off of the circumstance, the consequences of that can be catastrophic. It can be catastrophic, right? It can be catastrophic. And so when that happens, you're in a space. Now, you can come out of that space. You don't have to stay there. But most people, they do. They stay there for a long time. I just had my team give me a round of applause for giving them a small nugget. And I always say I don't know everything. This is just what works best with with our patients for me. And you know what? I'm like that. Maybe it's the Libra in us. But I'm like that because I always say, my thing I say is, and I always say I don't know everything. I don't say I don't know everything. What I always do is I have this little thing I do, and I'll be like, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I ain't that dull either. So you might want to. Here's a little suggestion from me. Especially when that light bulb goes off in your head, and you just kind of know that you know that you know. So that would be my response. So I like that. I don't know everything. I do. I tell them all the time. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but yeah, I'm not that dull either. So I have a little something, up here that I can respond off of. But yeah, so that's what I was thinking about. Reading that book all day yesterday and everything is, are you reactive or are you proactive? And I think that's something to sit back and reflect on. And like when I stepped back and I kind of thought about it, I said, oh, you know what? Man, I used to be so reactive. In this situation, I was reactive. This situation, I was reactive. This situation, I was reactive. I was reactive in a lot of situations. I was reactive in a lot of situations. Good morning. Good morning. We are talking about today, are you reactive or proactive? Okay. When it comes to people, management styles, the whole nine, are you reactive or are you proactive? Thank you for joining. Wake up with coffee and conversation with Carol. Yes, yes, yes. Wake up with me. Get your coffee. Wake up with me. But yes, I use the same analogies. One of my favorites is, I'm not trying to be the smartest person in the room. Yes, honey. I tell people that all the time. I'm not trying to be the smartest person here, but I just have one suggestion. Just one. And then we can all just one. Because sometimes when you see stuff or you hear things or you're analyzing, as they say, you kind of, that light bulb goes off and says, hey, have you ever thought about this? Can we try this? So we go into those in those modes, and I don't see anything wrong with it. And I think that as we mature as adults, we become more proactive. We become more proactive. I mean, young people, we all have children. For the ones that do, I'm not going to say we all have children because everybody don't, but for the ones that do, or the ones that have encountered the young ones and then they grow into young adults, most of them have some reactive decision making, right? They just go and make a decision, and they don't think about the consequences, who it affect, what it affect, why is it being. They don't care about none of that. They just make their decision, go ahead with it. You know what I'm saying? And they don't care about anything else. They focus on them and how they feel and how you made them feel, and they go with that. So until they can grow into a more proactive maturity, that's what they do. They do that. And then here's the problem with a lot of them. If you and I don't care what nobody say, I'm going to continue to say this because it is the truth. When you're talking about reactive and proactive, if you have a reactive person on your team, I don't care whether it's your parent, mama, daddy, brothers, if they're in your circle and they are reactive to everything that you do, my person, I'm talking to people out there, whoever listens and chime in on here, share this, whatever, you will not grow. You're not going to grow. Meaning, if My mom, dad, sister, brother, whoever it is in my circle, every time I'm reactive, meaning I just make a decision, make a decision, and nobody's there to tell me, or the person that's really supposed to be there to tell me, hey, that's not good. But the person that's on my team that I'm listening to, that I'm putting an ear to, is saying, "You go ahead, that's fine. That ain't no wrong." You're you're not going to see anything wrong with what you're doing. I'm so sorry. You're not going to see. And I don't know if anybody agrees, but that's just me. So, if you are a reactive person when it comes to circumstances and situations, you going to need a proactive person somewhere on your team. You're going to need someone to sit down and help you see the bigger picture. But if only people on your team, if you're making reactive decisions and the only people on your team is reactive, ooh, child, I don't know what to say. Now that's just me. I don't know what nobody else thinks, but I'm just saying. To me, that's just a recipe for catastrophe. Um, I read a quote and it said this: "Be proactive, not reactive, for an apparently insignificant issue ignored today can be catastrophic tomorrow." So what that's saying is the issue can be very, very small, very, very small, but if it's ignored today, it can be catastrophic tomorrow. Okay. So my thing is, hey, if you are in a reactive decision making mode and you don't have any proactive folks on your team, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of world of trouble. Because here's the thing about that: when you are dealing with, how can I say this, family members or siblings or just family, I would just say family and friends, they handle you different than that. I have a lot of proactive people, and thank God for them, because I react, baby. Yeah, yes, the Sister May say, hey, I have a lot of proactive people, and thank God for them because I react. So if she knows that she's a reactor, if she knows that a lot of her circumstances, she's a reactive person, she's going to need those proactive people that stop and think. Because if you don't have anybody on your team that's proactive, including you, is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe. Good morning. It is a recipe for disaster. It is. It's a recipe for disaster. So are you reactive or are you proactive? And here's what I'm going to say to you today. If you're reactive, that's fine. I've been there before. I've been there before where I was just baby, just saying it, doing it, didn't matter. Okay. However, when you grow, when you grow, you become more proactive. And again, if you're not there yet, that's fine. But I will say that, and I will say this again: you need to get some proactive people on your team, okay? If you don't have no proactive people on your team, there's a problem. Because then, what Sister Pooh say? I was reactive more in my younger years, my definite 20s. Yes, me too. Baby, look here. I wasn't thinking about no decisions. We were just making them. Hey, let's do this. Sounds good. Let's do it. Wasn't no you that it didn't sound dangerous. Didn't sound, and here's the thing too. To a certain extent, I'm gonna be honest. To a certain extent, because of how I was raised, certain things I wouldn't do. I'm just gonna tell you right now, because honey, I thought about Albert and Mary in my head, and I was just like, oh God, what would they do? So, for me, I'm not saying for nobody else. Certain things you couldn't even get me to cross that line, because I thought about Albert and Mary, and those are my parents. May Albert rest in peace, because my dad is no longer here with us. But I did think about them. Like, their voices were so loud in my head, and I was just like, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes I would react and make a decision, and then they would come in there in my head, and I'd be crying because I knew I was in trouble. I knew it. So that is a big thing too. Yeah. Yes, yes. She said, yes, May May, yes, May May. So May May said, yeah, I thank God. She said, I thank God for them, because she reacts. And so you have to have some proactive people on your team. So today, on Thursday, you thought it, I said it. Are you reactive or are you proactive? And I'm going to leave this with you guys today since we're talking about proactive and reactive. It says this, and this is your affirmation for today to think on. Your good morning, hubby. This is your affirmation to think on for today. Never make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. Making emotional look for work for you instead of against you. Okay, never make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. Making emotions work for you instead of against you. Make your emotions work for you instead of against you. So don't ever make a permanent decision. Never make a permanent decision. Okay, this is your affirmation based on a temporary emotion. You will find yourself cut off from reality. Okay, when you make permanent decisions on temporary emotions, today I'm mad and I'm just gonna get rid of everything, and tomorrow you're not mad, you know. So it goes back to everything we've been talking about this week, especially where it started off. We are what we eat. Please don't let your emotions eat away at you, and you're making lifetime decisions where you get down in life and you say, wow. You don't want to be in a wow state of mind. Okay. All right. I thank you guys for joining. Wake up with coffee and conversation with Carol. Coffee and conversation with Carol. Wake up with Carol, whichever title you want to put to me. I'm here. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for supporting me. Again. Never make those permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. I want you guys to live, love, never ever stop laughing. Remember, always find room to forgive. And there's just one love that God loves. And if you have that, you're going to be all right. Okay? Let's try to be more proactive. Have a great day. Bye-bye.